We are kick-starting today off with Clare Andrusyk, who is going to be presenting Puppy Pandemic Spot the Scammers. Now, Clare is an approved dog trainer with the Dog Training College, a full IMDT member, as well as being a breeder for over 20 years. Clare also mentors and helps breeders along the way. Clare has recently been on the BBC discussing and raising awareness for puppy scammers. So let's bring Clare on. Hello, Clare.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Fab. Well, I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, cool, brilliant. Okie dokie. So let's get that from the start. So my talk today is about pandemic puppy boom and the scams that are out there. I think it's really, really important to raise awareness, not just for the people that are looking for a puppy, but you can also help your friends and your family. You can put the word out there that this is a massive issue right now, and we just need to be a little bit cautious on our approach to getting a puppy. So I'll start you off with everybody knows March 2000 marks the beginning of the surge to buy a puppy, and we had lockdown and we had COVID-19 at its full at its heightened pandemic. So we know it as the pandemic puppy boom. It's when lots of people started to go into lockdown and furlough, working from home or out of work, and then decided that now was the right time to buy a puppy. So I've collated the top reasons, going from lots and lots of groups, the top reasons why people were buying a dog during the pandemic. The first one was more time at home to raise a puppy. Then you've got people lived alone and needed companionship. So you saw lots of different ages of, single people thinking it was the right time to get a puppy because, they needed the companionship. You weren't allowed to go out and socialize so much. But you were also allowed to walk your dogs. So it sounded like a brilliant idea. People wanted a puppy or a dog to help with anxiety, depression, disability. To help them through isolation in general, for their children to have a companion, and they've lost their previous dog. So I've seen, lots of these reasons popping up to me as a breeder, and on the group, people searching for a puppy. So the surge in demand for dogs began. We've got breeders literally getting hundreds of calls and emails, messages a week about puppy availability from the general public. Myself and quite a few other breeders that I know had to remove our contact details from our websites, from our pages, from, anything that we were mentioned on. We had to remove our numbers because of the amount of calls that we were getting. It was unmanageable. It started around March, April, and you literally couldn't put your phone down. We were getting so many calls, bombarded. And for those like myself that own some dog ownership groups on Facebook, the surge in people that were coming to that group as well was unbelievable. Now, I just want to talk about the kind of, things that we were asked. Now, people were starting off with, any pups available? How much are your puppies? I'm looking to buy a dog. Do you have a dog available for adoption? When somebody leads with that question first and asks nothing else about you in general, it's kind of a red flag for breeders, for good breeders, I'm going to say, because you just know that there's a certain amount of desperation in there. Any pups available? If they had done their research on the breeder, on the page, on the website, it tells you if you have any puppies available. Most good breeders have, notifications for people looking, or waiting lists. Then the ones that start off with, I'm looking to buy a dog. Now, contacting a breeder, you should know that that breeder has X, Y, and Z breed of dog. So to buy a dog in general is like, it's a bit of a weird question. How about, I'm looking to buy a beautiful Cocker Spaniel show type, not just a dog. It's just it's very random, but typically I have thousands of these kind of messages. And so does a lot of other breeders in the community. It's non-stop to the point that you can't literally respond to them all. So we had, obviously, like I've talked about, we've got the surge in the Facebook groups. Everybody in the country seeming to be looking for a puppy for sale. We've got Google that reported 166% increase on the term puppies for sale compared to the previous year. So it means that, so many people were bombarding Google to see if there was any breeders in the local area, and then obviously by typing that term into Google, the first things you'll see are the free advertisement websites, which is not always a good place to look for a dog in the first place. So you've also got rescue centres. They were also being inundated with requests from potential adopters. Of course, not everybody's suitable to be an adopter of a rescue dog. Rescue dogs come with certain needs. Some you can't rehome with kids or other dogs or other pets. So they were seeing a massive increase in people, wanting a dog right now, and they need to go through the vetting process. So the price hike started. That was unbelievable. We suddenly saw from March onwards, the demand in puppies started to increase the prices from the breeders, because it was supply and demand, basically. So what you've got there is a breeder hiking their prices, and then other breeders seeing what they've done and thinking, right, I'm going to hike my price as well. So it was like a bit of an out of control situation going on. You've got prices this, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this. People upping their prices again and again and again, to the point where it's just it's just really unreasonable. The price for a pedigree Kennel Club registered dog almost doubled in price. But the price for crossbreed dogs and designer dogs saw as much as triple the increase compared to the previous year. For example, cockapoos were around 1,500, show spaniels were around 1,500 too. But now what we're seeing is the average price on your free ad sales groups, or things like Pets at Home, Pets for Homes, sorry, around £3,000 to £4,000. I've cut a couple of clips here. Obviously, I've removed the pictures and the details, but you can see here you've got one at 9,999. I think that's just to pull people in to ask for the actual price on that one. I'm pretty sure there is no miniature toy cockapoo out there for 10 grand. Then you've got your ones at 4,500. Interestingly, this picture that I've rubbed out here was actually a picture of a show Cocker Spaniel, completely a show Cocker Spaniel. I know what smoothie poos look like, and this was not a cockapoo. So I had a really good look at that advert. It's really, it was so bizarre. Then you've got you've got an average price between 3,000 and 4,000 for cockapoos. It's causing huge issues out there. So it became the era, 2020 became the era that there is no longer an average price for a puppy. And that's pretty scary, because there are a lot of people out there really, really good families, for dogs that can't afford to shell out that amount of money for a puppy. But you're being pushed to find that money from somewhere. If you want a dog in 2020, you're going to have to look at that price, unless you go to a breeder that has not improved their, increased their prices. And you're going to have to look hard, because most of them, I'm going to say around 80%, have now pushed their prices up to be in line with everybody else. And I'll tell you why that is happening. Breeders, the ones that are staying at the same price are the ones that have got waiting lists, the ones that already have these people, lined up for a year, 6 months, waiting for, a breeder to have a litter of puppies, and they don't need to increase their prices to be in line with everybody else. And the ones that are lining up, to the price hiking ones, it's just, it's causing a little bit of a problem, but there is a good reason why they've done it. Some are not just greeders. Some are doing it because it's a pretty scary world out there. People are buying puppies to resell on at more than double the price. So then you've got a situation where you don't know where your puppy's going to end up. So if I just click through this, these are quite funny GIFs that I found yesterday. The situation is obviously not funny, but this is the reality of 2020. The pandemic puppy boom, alongside the huge increase in price, saw the dramatic rise in scammers. We've got dramatic rise in scammers, bad breeders, criminals, and dog thefts. Dog thefts being one of the biggest issues that we've got at the minute. So RSPCA have also seen an increase of the amount of animal cruelty and neglect cases. Now that's absolutely awful. We've got a lockdown situation again, but during the first lockdown situation, they reported almost 21,000 cases since the coronavirus lockdown began. Also from abandoned puppies to domestic abuse. Dogs are affected by domestic abuse as well. So if there's a domestic abuse situation going on, RSPCA said the chances are that unfortunately the boom is happening where the dogs are being impacted as well, and which is when they get involved. So we've got more people getting puppies, more people being put in a stressful lockdown situation, domestic abuse cases rising, impacting animal cruelty. So here come the scammers. So this is really, really important to understand. The scammers they were there already, but more of them have come out of the woodwork. So this was recognised by the scammers. Suddenly, the demand for puppies was massive. So what they decided to do is create the country a new problem. We've got scammers posing as breeders, stealing genuine photos and videos from real breeders via social media and other website platforms. I've personally seen 3 breeder friends this has happened to. They're literally taking the photographs that those breeders have posted, and then using them to set up a new page on Facebook or a new website, and saying these are my puppies, and taking the videos from the internet. So actually, at the minute, everybody should be watermarking their photographs, because they are being taken and they are being stolen. And it's good that people are thinking, oh, I've seen that photograph before, and then they find the real breeder and let them know, so that breeder can then say, hang on a minute, this isn't me, these puppies aren't for sale, they've already got their homes, this is a scammer. So scammers are also, unfortunately, using fake rescue and adoption centre pages to entice people in. Facebook have a rule on no sales of dogs unless you're a bona fide business, bricks and mortar, you're a licensed breeder. You can have a page for breeding. But what you cannot have is groups or things like puppies for sale. But what they've done, what the scammers have done, is they've found a loophole in Facebook. They have set up pages for rescue centres that don't actually exist, saying these puppies are for adoption. When you contact them, obviously the puppies have got huge prices. They're not for adoption, and they don't actually even exist. So they're wanting people to put their money down on a dog that doesn't exist, and they're a fake rescue. You can probably spot those by the amount of likes that they've got on Facebook. Have a click around, see if the pictures look, weirdly set up, or they're quite easy to spot. Hopefully they're quite easy to spot. Just me having a look around on Facebook yesterday, I forgot to actually put them all in, but the amount of adoption centres we've got set up, fake ones in the UK and from abroad, enticing people in from the UK. So unsuspecting buyers are being asked to hand over their money as a deposit in order to secure a puppy that doesn't actually exist before somebody else takes it. Now, that's the important, that's the number one scammer thing to say. Somebody else has contacted me about this puppy. So if you don't lay down your deposit now, I'm afraid you've lost it. So the desperation kicks in. People think, right, okay, I've got to hand over my money. I've got to lay down this deposit. They think they've done a few checks and it'll be okay. Hand over the money. Money's gone. The number is disabled. You can't contact them, and they disappear off the face of the earth. So they, the bank transfer details, the ones that I've seen on the scammer pages are these internet-based web banks where you can transfer your money to this online banking system that then transfers money into a real account. And these are the way that scammers are getting their money, because they're not traceable. They're not. Some of them are not even registered in the UK. So before you hand over your money, you need to check, who is this bank? Have you ever heard of it? And if not, then I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. So on BBC, you might have heard on that interview, if you've seen it at all or broadcast anywhere else, Action Fraud have reported the amount of cases in 2020 to be 5 times higher than last year. 4,000 cases of fraud have been reported since the start of lockdown. Now that's scary. That's a lot of people being scammed. A lot of reports coming into the police. More than often or not, these people are not able to get their money back because they've, a bank transfer is often or not unreversible. So you have to make sure when you hand over your money that, you've got some sort of protection. I've taken a clip. I've got permission to use this clip across here on a message. This lady, she was advertising Cavapoo puppies, started up a WhatsApp chat. She said, if you can't read this, by the way, I'm reading it out. She said she would need a deposit to secure. I asked if she would take the payment through PayPal. She said no, it would have to be a bank transfer. She didn't have PayPal, so she agreed. She sent £250 because she thought she sounded genuine. She got messages, photographs, it's all seemed legit. She sent the payment over, and then all of a sudden, the number was a dead line, as I've said. They were uncontactable. This lady used somebody else's name, a real person, and used their own ID as well. So that person's ID had been shared. So the scammer took the ID, pretended to be this person, set up a bank account in the initials C blah blah blah. I won't say the name, and it all looked genuine. So then she's lost her money. So she thought she was getting the puppy, to help her recover from PTSD. The dog was going to be used as therapy. She wouldn't, she's lost all confidence in buying a dog now. The story is really, really sad. But, that's not the only story out there. There are so many different sad stories. So I just click through. So can you spot the difference? Hopefully you can see these photographs come up, but we've got Cavachons and we've got Cavapuchon puppies for sale. Now, you've got the picture on the right. Hopefully it's on the right of your screen and not reversed somehow, but you've got the puppies at 2,500. These were posted a month ago for sale, and they're Cavapuchons. And on the left, you've got Cavachons at 1,600. If you notice here, you've got the area of Doncaster, South Yorkshire. And on the other one, you've got Aberdare somewhere. I'm not sure whether that's in Wales or Scotland. Sorry, geography is not good on that one. But two obvious different sides of the country. And if you look below here, all those photographs were the same. Which one is the real advert? Does anybody know? No, nobody will know. I'm going to presume, by looking at it, I'm going to presume the one on the right would have been the real one. That was posted a month ago. However, that member has only been a member since March 2020, which is a little bit of a red flag because they've been a member since March 2020. However, here it says breeder frequent advertiser. So breeder frequent advertiser only been on the site since March 2020. This one here, not a breeder frequent advertiser, member since November 2020. So that advert is brand new, same photos, different area. I'm going to call it that this one here on the left is the fake one, set up to entice people. If you notice, they've put the price down lower than the average. That there is to entice people to contact them. It used to be the case not so long ago, actually, and I did do a video about this. If the price is low or too good to be true, you're often looking at a puppy farmer. So puppy farmers keep their prices down low to entice people in to contact them so they can kick out as many puppies as they possibly can and sell them all. If you've got a puppy farmer, the price is too high, they don't get that much contact, therefore they don't sell as many dogs as quickly. So here, the photograph on the left, the 1,600 is lower than the average at the minute for a designer dog. So that makes me believe that one is the fake advert. However, I do not know. I did not have the chance to do any sort of more investigation on that. So here come the bad breeders. So it's not just the scammers. We've got bad breeders as well coming out the woodwork. Just 1 second while I have a drink. So we've got a new wave of puppies that have potentially got lifelong issues. So I just want to talk about Ruby here. Now, Ruby is she's a red Labrador, fox red Labrador. She is one of my clients. She is the dog that you saw on BBC News just on Friday. Please take a closer look at her ribs on that picture. Now, she had been with my client for just under a week when that photograph was taken. She arrived at Ruby's breeders to see a couple of other litters there, and also all the puppies were extremely underweight and undernourished. She was quite sick when she arrived, so that was number one issue there. But the big point about Ruby is that she was advertised, I found out, because I asked her a lot of questions about Ruby. I found out she was advertised on an undercover breeder's website. This website said that they only owned stud dogs. They were not breeders. They, contact them for puppy availability of their stud dogs. When actual fact they are breeders, they're not licensed. They had 3 litters on the go when she came to pick up Ruby. The website looks glossy, it looks pretty, it looks good. The adult dogs look healthy. However, when she picked up Ruby was severely underweight. She took her to the vet. There were a few things wrong. Thankfully, she managed to correct them. But she when she asked the breeder questions about the puppy, what's my puppy's personality like? The breeder came back with, my puppies aren't allowed to have personalities. We didn't allow them to socialize and play together because they were working dogs. Now, how bad is that? You've got a non-breeder, they call themselves, with working dogs, not allowing them to play and socialize with each other. So when she asked what the personality of her puppy was, she was told that they're not allowed to have a personality. And also, they let Ruby go dead on 7 weeks old. Now, 7 weeks old, that is against the law. You have to sell, you have to get to the puppy's age of 8 weeks old before you're allowed to sell them. So that's a really sad story. And my client has allowed me to share that story because I only knew she contacted me the first day she brought her home, to do a puppy package with me. I was asking her questions, and all of these things came up. So I urgently put her a plan of socialization and desensitization and habituation in place. And oh my goodness, Ruby is amazing now. She is so sociable. She loves other dogs and people. So thankfully, we've been able to turn that around pretty quickly. But yeah, I would like to, reiterate, puppies being sold under the age of 8 weeks old is against UK law. So this slide is really slow to appear. So sorry, the words are I think I've set the animations up wrong. So puppies are being sold sick, riddled with worms. So you've got the breeders, the bad breeders, I'm going to call them, sending out puppies with things like Giardia and Parvo and ear mites and filthy ears and diarrhea and sickness and, worms. You've got fleas as well. When I say being sold as sick, I cover all of those bases. If you've got a puppy that gets to their new home and they've got any of these conditions, that means they have come from a really bad breeder that has not paid attention to their litter, and they've got some real drastic changes to make in their system. Whether they care or not, probably not. Because it would be completely shameful for a really good breeder to send out a puppy with any of those conditions and just not care. So, as I said, this slide is really, really slow, so I'm sorry about that. Then we've got puppies being sold as a completely different breed to increase the buyer purchase cost. So I can't even call them breeders. I'm going to call them people that have bred the dog with any other dog or just been caught in the park, and they've decided that it would be a good idea to call those dogs a different breed altogether and sell them as that, just to increase the purchase cost. So people think they're buying, that's, for example, Cavapuchon, and actually they've bought something that's just not that at all, a completely different mix of, for instance, a Staffy. They've come home, they thought they've got a Cavapuchon, and actually, in fact, it turns out to be a Staffy. And that is happening. It is happening out there. We've got puppies being sold and deposits taken only to raise the price the week before they leave. So you've got breeders enticing people in, saying, my puppies are this price, lay your deposit down, make you fall in love with the puppy. And then, a week before they're due to leave, sorry, I need to increase the price because it's cost me X, Y, and Z, and the price has doubled. And then by that time, you've got owners that are actually fell in love with a puppy and need to part with more money. That's a bad breeder. Things like this are being done on purpose. So it's something to be aware of. So we've got puppies being sold for one price, deposits taken, then the breeder contacts the seller to tell them their puppy has passed away. The breeder finds the seller advertising the same puppy weeks later at double the price. So we've either got, there's two sides of this story. We've either got a scammer that's panicked and thought, oh, this person's found me out or suspicious of me in some way, panics, oh, the dog's dead, and then, resells again later on down the line. Or you've got somebody that's just decided that they were trying to sell their puppies at one price, saw the price hike and thought, well, actually, I'm going to make the same amount of money as them and put up the price, tell the other owners that their puppy is dead. The amount of times I've seen that story being told on all of the groups is incredible, actually. It's really upsetting for people. It actually impacts mental health because you fall in love with a puppy only to be told that puppy's passed away. And how sad is that? So 1 second, might have a drink. So the one that's always been around, puppies being sold as Kennel Club registered, no other paperwork. No paperwork is ever received. That's been ongoing forever. But if you're going to buy a Kennel Club registered dog, have a look on their website. Are they assured breeders? Are they registered breeders with a Kennel Club? Can you see the Kennel Club papers of the parents? Have something in writing from that breeder guaranteeing them that they will have Kennel Club papers and that litter will be registered. Because registered breeders on the Kennel Club are not allowed to have, I think it's 4 litters now a year. 4 litters a year. 4 litters in the dog's lifetime, and they won't register any more litters after that. So the reason why you've got a Kennel Club registered parents having a litter and they're not registered is because they're not allowed to be registered. They've already gone past their amount of litters that they're allowed to be registered. But Kennel Club don't penalise them for having more and more litters. They just don't register them. So that's the reason why you would get a puppy that's not got any papers. When it appears. Puppies arriving at new owners with anxiety and behavioural issues. So you've got the bad breeders impacting the lifetime of the puppy in general. So we've got puppies arriving at new owners with anxiety and behavioural issues. I put a poll up in a dog trainer group, and I've seen that come up a few times. So puppies arriving with things like resource guarding issues, anxiety, terrified of life in general. It's because they've arrived from a breeder that really does not know how to create a good environment to raise the puppies. So we've got all sorts of issues around that. That's a whole presentation in itself. Then we've got litters being bred with no prior knowledge of what breed specific health testing, COI, hip scoring is needed. There's a rush of people out there going, oh my goodness, look at how many puppies there are for sale at this price. I need to breed my dog. No thought process goes into it. No, no investigation of how people should be raising puppies. Don't care, just want the money. So they're just breeding their dog with any other pretty dog that they can find. So then you've got a whole range of puppies that are coming with health problems, impacting the owner for cost at the end of the day. If you're going to get a puppy that's been bred and raised by somebody that hasn't got a clue what they're doing, then chances are that you're going to be paying for it down the line. Dogs can last 10 to 18 years depending on what breed you've got. Can you afford that cost? If you haven't got insurance, or your insurance don't cover you for that amount, can you afford that? That's what you need to think when you decide that it's worth running a risk and picking a breeder, that hasn't cared what's gone into them. So puppies arrive at new homes that have no prior habituation to the home environment, have not been desensitized or socialized. So the fear period, stresses in pregnant dogs is huge as well, because high stresses in pregnant dogs passes on via the hormones into the puppies inside them. So puppies are already born predisposed to heightened stress. So then you've got the pregnant dogs been in a stressful environment, like from puppy farmers or in kennels or commercial breeders, having these puppies, or bad breeders, or even having these puppies, and the puppies are already predisposed to stress, heightened stress. Then you've got breeders that don't know then how to raise these puppies properly and habituate them to the home environment. We're talking to people, to children, to other dogs, to other pets in general. We've got noises of the home. You've got all sorts of things that go into socialization and desensitization. If you've got the bad breeders that have got no idea and not care about that problem, you've got puppies that are going out very, very anxious of the world, and that is a lot of work for the new owner to take on. Hopefully, I would say every owner needs to get a trainer to help them, because you just don't know what that puppy's been through previous, unless you've really researched your breeder and you're absolutely adamant they've got, they've had a good life. To start off with, puppies that are predisposed to stress, it's a race against nature, and we've got to combat that. So some have not even been weaned off their mother and have to learn how to eat and drink. So I need a drink. I've seen clients that have got puppies that arrive at their home and won't eat their food, for weeks and weeks on weeks. They just have no idea how to eat and drink. That means there's been no weaning taking place at that breeder. The breeder's just allowed the mum to feed the litter, hasn't concentrated on whether a certain puppy is eating the right amount of, proper food, and is just let them get on with things. So that's when that happens, we know that the breeder hasn't correctly weaned the dog off the mum, and that should happen before 7 weeks old. They don't know how to play with toys. Now that's really sad. I've seen that before as well. People getting puppies, get all these toys and they try and play with them, and the puppy's just sat there like an anxious, nervous wreck, and they just generally don't know what a toy is because they've never been given one. All they've had is their own litter mates to play with. So that's what they miss when they move to a new owner who hasn't got any other dogs. They're going to miss that. So you have to teach them of how to play with toys. So here are some of the polls that I did. I did them in one day, so they could have been bigger, but I did them in one day and screenshotted as many as I could. So they all know that date is for a presentation. So we've got people getting puppies without prior knowledge or without having done any research on having a dog. So we've not only got the bad breeders, we've got the owners that have never owned a dog before, not done any research on what it is to own this dog. And that's a problem. Puppies leaving underage. Like I said about Ruby, Ruby was allowed to leave at 7 weeks old. That's laziness from the breeder. Breeder just doesn't want to put in that extra week of work and probably should at the amount that they were selling them at. There's no justification for doing that at all, other than if a vet signs it off. But in this case, Ruby's mum was present. There was no real reason why Ruby should have been sold at 7 weeks old. So puppies being sold as different breeds. You've got Good. The one up here says, did research, found a reputable breeder. So that's a good one. Then you've got your puppy came from an unlicensed breeder. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes you've got some really, really good home breeders that really want to get it right. One-off breeders, they are out there. There are some amazing one-time unlicensed breeders because they don't need a license. They don't have 3 litters above a year. And not necessarily breeding for profit. They're breeding to keep one and to give to family members. I've seen, some really good people out there, so they're not all bad. You didn't see any health testing certificates. That's a big issue. That's a big problem. Every breed of dog has a genetics DNA test needed behind it. Every single breed. There's not one breed out there that you don't need to see a DNA health testing certificate for, or things like your hip scoring. So we've got people that are buying from Facebook pages, people that thought they were buying from a reputable breeder, but actually it was just a posh puppy farm. They're commercial, industrial size breeders. They have hundreds of breeding dogs. They've got kennels. Usually these people sell several different types of breed. When I say several, I mean, 10 and above, you've got Cocker Spaniel breed, as their breeders. You've got Cockapoos, Labradoodles, Labradors, Chihuahuas. You've got every different range. And what that tells you is they're not breed specific. They don't care about the breed that they're selling or creating. They're just doing it for money purposes. So please avoid commercial breeders. They are just breeding for money. They, don't have much knowledge on the specific breeds that they're creating. They are just doing it simply for the money. And as many different breeds as they possibly can, probably the ones that cost most as well. You don't often see commercial industrial side breeders, breeding a dog that isn't worth a lot of money. It's very, very rare. So lots of people here took us home sick puppies. Saw litter with mum twice, told the litter was died. 4 days later, pup was on for sale at £700 more, miles away, saying that it was 8 weeks old when it was 4 weeks old. That's awful. Promised a puppy, then upped the price, like I said before. Took a dog home that they suspect isn't the actual breed that they purchased. The litter was released at 6 weeks onwards, paid for KC registered pups, but the breeder did not register them. It just goes on and on and on. It's horrific out there. It's much, much more of a problem than it ever was. So I just want to talk you through the 8 weeks old problem when you've got puppies that are leaving before 8 weeks old. So here is a collage of a puppy from birth all the way up to 8 weeks old. Now, if you look, you can see the difference between 1 day old to a week old here. You can see how much change has gone on there. Puppies at this age grow rapidly and they learn rapidly, and they're in the fear period. All the learning takes place now. What happens here is an imprint for life. It's a blueprint for the rest of their life. So we need to impact them as positively as possible from as early as possible. Here at the bottom, Monty is 7 weeks old here and 8 weeks old here. You can see the difference between a 7-week-old and an 8-week-old. Oh, well, I hope you can anyway. You can see the maturity has gone up. 1 week's worth of maturity here is a milestone for a puppy. So allowing them to go at 7 weeks old here is stopping the process of socialization and the learning that takes place with the mum and their other litter mates. They do a lot of learning in the litter, believe it or not. They learn to be a dog. They play fight, they bite each other, they play with toys. They're in the family home environment, being socialized with lots of different things going on, hopefully anyway. So taking them away from that learning at 7 weeks old will cause anxiety issues, potentially cause a lot of anxiety issues, which will come out later on in life. So it's important for breeders not to give up their puppies before the age of 8 weeks old. It is the law, but there is a good specific reason as to why it's the law. So just click into that. So the animal welfare licensing guidance is here. So I just thought I'd specify that, because not a lot of people know that puppies under the age of 8 weeks, that's illegal. Ruby's owner certainly didn't. So it needs to be, people need to raise awareness in this. There are bad breeders out there sending puppies out, at 6, 7 weeks old, unweaned, unsocialized, causing a lot of anxiety issues later on down the line. So as I said here, 1 week is for a puppy is a huge amount of time for canine social learning and development. So it's critical that breeders don't hand over. Here we have a story that I spoke to the owner about on the Expose a Puppy Scammer group on Facebook. Her mum bought a teacup Pomeranian that they told her was wormed and vaccinated, microchipped, KC registered, came from a loving home. It was their first and only litter. She again had many aliases, different names. Their mum bought him as a gift, basically, as a surprise for their family. But within 4 days of him being there, he developed a cough, and he was diagnosed with bacterial pneumonia. He was full of worms. He was not 8 weeks old. He was not microchipped, wormed, or vaccinated. He was too far gone to recover, and he sadly passed away. The impact of that is the 70-year-old mum that purchased this puppy for the family. It had a huge impact on her mental health, to the point that she actually went to hospital about it. It was a nice surprise for the family to have this, this cute, beautiful puppy, for then 4 days later for it to become so ill that it just couldn't survive. I think this story relates to a puppy farmer rather than anything else, because of the amount of lies that went into that dog at the time. None of these things halfway breeders would even consider. Microchipping is the law. You have to microchip your puppies. The puppies should be microchipped to the breeder first, and that is the law. So anybody telling you that the microchip will be chipped in your name is illegal. It has to be to the breeder's name first, then the breeder transfers over to the new owner. So puppies must be microchipped before they leave the breeder's home. So here come the fake buyers. So we've got the scammers, we've got the bad breeders, and now we've got the fake buyers. So because of the price hike, suddenly it was apparent you could buy a lower cost puppy and resell that puppy on for double the price. So that's another thing that's been happening. We've got breeders that have sold puppies at a lower price, kept the prices low, and then suddenly found out when they've tried to contact the new owner, owners just disappeared off the face of the earth, and they see their puppy being advertised, or somebody's reported their puppy being advertised on the pages, on the free ads and stuff like that. So unfortunately, we found ourselves now with a situation where breeders are having to hike their prices up to avoid this from happening if they haven't got, you know, a list of people that are waiting for them to breed. That's why they're hiking up the prices. They're scared, rightly so. People are scared, but actually, we've got a huge problem where it's just going out of control now. So something needs to happen. I don't know what and how it can end at this point, but something needs to happen. So Lucy's Law, that's a big one. Lucy's Law only protects licensed breeders. So if you're a home breeder that's just had one litter, or you're under the, you know, the amount of 3 litters per year, which is the licensing law, if you are a breeder that decides to not get a license, you are not covered by Lucy's Law. That's a problem for the ones that are scared to have their puppies resold on later on. You have no comeback. You cannot prevent that puppy from being resold on. The law is there to protect licensed breeders only. So it is in everybody's interest to be licensed. Having a license protects you so much. So I'd like to play a short audio video clip of a breeder that I know. She's unlicensed. She didn't need to be licensed, you know, but this is her story regarding her puppy. The puppy was at the bottom of the screen a minute ago, but she tried to take action against the stud owner. She used a stud owner. She paid him for the stud. He had a contract saying, I'd like the first choice in the puppy. But what he didn't tell her is that if he gets the first choice with a puppy, he's then going to resell it on. So she tried to take him to court, and here's her video. Tony, I don't know if you can play that video for me.
Hi, I hope you're all right. I thought I'd give you an update. I've had to get a barrister involved. But basically, I don't have a leg to stand on, so I've paid the stud. He's going to be getting a free puppy as well, because he's now refused to pay for the puppy, and he's refused to sign any contract, and there is no law in this country that protects my puppies. So I am totally and utterly screwed. I said I'd let you know what's happening, but I've got to try and get Lucy's Law changed to protect every puppy. Okay, what happened with the case is basically we didn't have a leg to stand on. He was awarded the puppy. I had to just take the puppy down to the vets. He wanted it left there. He collected it, bang on 8 weeks. And he then tried to change the microchip details to himself, which the company wouldn't allow. So it had to come back to me to change it. Again, I've heard nothing about the puppy. The court wasn't interested. All they wanted was to uphold the initial contract. Doesn't matter that he'd gone back on his word, and he could just take the puppy. No contracts were signed or anything, and I have no claim or anything else. And they said because it wasn't written into the stud contract how much he would pay for the puppy, but we didn't know that he was going to have the puppy. There was a third party that was going to be having the puppy who'd agreed to pay for it. So it wouldn't have been put into the stud contract because it wasn't him that was going to be paying for it. He got the puppy free of charge after I paid the stud fee, and he didn't have to sign a puppy contract. So that's it. My dog has just gone, and he can do what the hell he likes with it.
Yeah, so that's really sad. For those good breeders that care about where their puppies have gone, she can now no longer find out what happened to that particular puppy, all because she signed a stud contract, and in that contract he had a clause where he got to pick a puppy for free from her litter, and he chose to then resell it on at double the price that she was advertising at. So yeah, that's really, really sad story. That's the puppy there. That's the last picture that she took of her. And she does not know where she went. So that's really unfortunate. So here come the thieves. So then dog thieves became, they came out of the woodwork. So that is massively on the rise. It's for the Dog Lost reported that it's the worst they've ever seen for puppy thefts. I just took some polls off of a BBC website here regarding dog thefts, comparing 2019 to 2020 for these particular areas, which are, according to BBC, are the worst hit. So that's Northumbria, Devon and Cornwall. We've got Leicestershire, Humberside and Suffolk. So we've got criminals targeting breeders of all scales, predominantly those who house dogs in kennels. They're stealing the puppies to advertise and then selling them on. Some are just being stolen to be used in puppy farms and breeding. So dog thefts are on the rise. It is important, if you are a breeder, or if you know a breeder, or if you know somebody that's thinking about being a breeder, they should make it a priority not to share too much on social media for people to, because dog thieves are out there waiting. This is a horrific story that made the news. I've spoke to Sally. I've got permission to use her story for the purpose of this presentation. Thieves broke into a house, spraying her and her 62-year-old mother with ammonia in the face, punched her in the face, throwing her mum to the floor, all in order to steal these 3 bulldog puppies. This all happened whilst their 3 children were upstairs in bed asleep. It was around 11 o'clock at night, I believe, but they broke in purposefully to steal these 3 puppies. These puppies have not been found. We need to take a note of these puppies here. The markings on them, as you can see, are really, really distinct. You've got half a white muzzle here on the left-hand picture. You've got like a merle kind of colour puppy at the top there. And then you've got one where the white markings on the forehead here are really, really predominant. So these puppies have not been found. They were stolen from Essex. They could be anywhere in the country right now. So if you've seen these puppies, there's a Facebook group for them that you get in contact with her on there, or contact the Essex Police immediately. So Dog Trust have also reported that criminal gangs are smuggling pregnant dogs over from Romania to cash in on the pandemic puppy boom. And also puppy farming cases are on the rise because, everybody's seeing the price hike of puppies. So you've got to be aware of, houses are set up to appear normal. They're posing as one-off breeders. Mobile number is registered against several other advertised litters, various breeds of dog. You've just got to be very aware that puppy farmers and, dodgy breeders are out there right now, a hell of a lot. So how do we find a good breeder? I've put together a little list of things to be aware of. I would say the only way to get out of this problem is to wait. Get on a waiting list for a puppy. Good breeders have waiting lists. Good breeders don't necessarily have 10 puppies available for sale. They get a waiting list. Waiting lists are needed right now, because then you can guarantee that, you kind of guaranteed that you've got hopefully some really good breeder. I want to say hopefully, I want to try and guarantee you that, but if somebody's got a waiting list, it means that they know what they're doing. They're breeding, and they know it, as a rule, generally what they're doing. So because scammers advertise themselves as puppies ready to go now. So if you're going to get on a waiting list and not, jump in feet first, falling in love, I think that's the best way to go. You need to research your breeder. Research, Facebook, Google, YouTube, research it all. put their name into Google, put their breeder name into, into Facebook, have a really, really good look round. Look up their phone number as well. Does it appear on multiple puppy adverts? That's a really good one. Google the name and the business name. Are they licensed with the local council? All councils have got who's licensed. They've got, it's open-ended. You can have a look to see whether that breeder is licensed. Have they got a website or Facebook page for their new owners? To keep in contact with siblings, that's a good one. If breeders don't want people to keep in contact with each other, red flag, because they think that there's something wrong with those puppies. It could be, they don't want them to keep in contact. So all these people won't rise up against them. It is a possibility. Do they have reviews that you can read, recommended by friends? Have a look round. Are they recommended? Who's recommended them? How have you found them? Question yourself as a person that's looking for a puppy. Do we really know who these people are? What are you reading into here? Have a really good look about. So are they Kennel Club assured breeders? Kennel Club has an assured breeders scheme for all of those that are, producing Kennel Club registered dogs. Not everybody jumps on that bandwagon. It does cost money and you are vetted. So that it is a good scheme to be on if you're, a licensed breeder. Do they appear on Champ Dogs? Champ Dogs also vet the litters that they advertise on there. So have a look on there if you're looking for a registered dog. Look at the photos of the previous litters. What do you see? Look out for the red flags. All that glitters is not gold. So forget the fancy photos. Look behind the photos. Look at where they're raised. Look at where, things like fence panels or, kennels or concrete in the background. Just have a look around. There's lots and lots of red flags to look out for. Dirt and filth is a big one as well. If you see filth on the floor or dirty urine, trodden newspapers, things like that, that's something to avoid. So red flags, how to avoid being duped in a scam. Ask for 2 forms of ID, one that shows their address, a bank card in their name. You can ask them to cover their details, but that's a good one because not a lot of people can fake a bank card. If they don't have a bank card in their own name, that's, that's a big deal. Does the ID show the area that the puppies are advertised in? So make sure, if it's a driving license, see the local area. Is that the area that you think that you're buying a puppy from? Google Maps, search the address as well. Have a look. Where does that land you? Do your little zoom in thing where you go and look at the street map rather than the actual map itself. See if it's a house, a flat, commercial property. Have a look. Most people have got WhatsApp. Ask them to drop a pin of their location in WhatsApp. That's a really good one. If they've got WhatsApp, you can drop your pin, share your location. Are they in the same location that they said they were selling puppies from? Banks. Don't pay a deposit on a puppy you have not seen. You need to see live videos and have a chat conference with these people. If they won't, walk away. You need to definitely walk away on that one. There's 1,000 reasons why you should never hand a deposit over for a puppy you haven't seen, unless it's a breeder that you absolutely are assured and that they are a good breeder. You've waited on their list. You can see their very public details. Just don't hand a deposit over. These people that want deposits now are saying that they've got the last puppy for sale. Somebody else has inquired. You have to decide today. Will they answer your telephone call? Do they only communicate via email or text? That's a big one. So screenshot everything. If you're having a conversation with a breeder and you really want to go ahead with this puppy, you need to screen record, screenshot all the messages and every text message you can get, just in case, just to cover your back. So you've got as much evidence as you can, just in case you need to report it later on down the line. Hopefully not, but Have they asked you any details about you and your lifestyle? A breeder that cares about where their puppies are going is a breeder that's going to ask you 1,000 questions. Have you got kids? How old are they? Where do you live? You know, what do you propose to do? How much research have you put into the breed? How old are you? All these, there are so many questions. You know, breeders have got paid 3-page questionnaires that they give to new owners before you even consider them on a waiting list. And these are things, you know, questions should be 2 ways. You should be able to ask them a lot of questions and they answer it immediately. And they should be asking you questions. They should care about where their puppies are going to. If they don't care, the chances is they don't care about how the puppies are being raised either. So you can also Google reverse images. So you drop the image into Google here. You can just put Google reverse image search into Google and you can find out how to do that. The pictures you've been sent for a puppy, do they appear anywhere else under any of the different advert? Have a look around. Join puppy scammer exposed groups on Facebook. There's a few of us around. I own one of them. There are other good groups out there as well. Have a look on there, see if these breeders appear on there, the names, or message the admins of the group, post your questions to the group. Always use those groups. So the excuses. So you can see the parents. You can't see the parents because they're at the groomers, they're being taken for a walk. The excuses for not being able to see the parents are vast. Never, ever, ever buy a puppy from a breeder who says you cannot see the parents because of. They can't remember the stud dog owner's details. Well, that's weird because they've used a stud dog to prevent, you know, to get that litter in the first place. That's weird. That's a red flag. That's on the scale of a puppy farmer, I would say, if they don't know who the stud are, or they don't want to give you the details. They can't give you a date of birth of the puppies off the top of their head. Every breeder knows their puppy's date of birth. I tell you for why. Because their date of birth, you have to worm these puppies at certain, you know, at 2, 4, 6, and 8 weeks old. You need to know the date of birth to know how old the puppies are, to know when to worm them, when to bath them, when to wean them. You know, the date of birth should be the first thing, you know, as a breeder, you can reel off the top of your head. They're unable to give you DNA health test information as they cannot find it. Walk away. If they can't find the DNA health test information, they shouldn't have had the litter in the first place. Walk away. Unable to reply to your phone calls if they've got no credit left. That's a bit of a weird one. Don't like that either. I've heard that a lot come up. Yeah, I'd walk away on that one as well. You can't see any photographs of the litter when they're born. Every breeder has hundreds of photographs of their puppies when they're born. Believe me, there should be photographs. If they're able to send you these photographs, do they marry up with the photograph of the puppy that you're seeing now? You know, don't be fooled into a Google picture that they've just found. They can't use a secure deposit scheme on pets at home. Yes, you can. There should be no reason that they're not using it. It is 8%. That is high for some people, but actually in the grand scheme of things, to stop yourself from getting scammed and losing your money, it's not a lot. I would say pay that. You know, if I was looking for a puppy, definitely. They want to ship the puppy to you and you're not allowed to collect it. So the word shipping belongs to different countries. It usually means whoever you're speaking to is definitely not from this country, which usually equals scammer. Set up in this country, though. They don't have hundreds of photographs of the puppies at all different ages. All breeders have loads of photos, loads of videos they can share. Good breeders do have that. So, you know, if they don't, then walk away. And then again, the same thing, you pay a deposit, suddenly your puppy has died. You know, these are some of the red flags. Puppy farmer excuses. For the puppies that you take home, The puppy is shaking because it's just had a bath or it's cold. It's not scared. Yeah, puppies, of course, all puppies are anxious when they're first removed from their owner, from their breeder. But, a sign of huge anxiety is a puppy that just will not turn around and will not cuddle, will not look at you. There are bigger issues. If you're finding a puppy is just scared and terrified in general, it's not always about being cold or, just being a little bit anxious. They shouldn't be that anxious. There are no puppy beds, crates, bowls, toys in the house because they've tidied up for your visit. Breeders' houses are like bomb sites mostly. I have a really good laugh with my puppy owners. I would just say, if you're coming into my house, I'll absolutely clean up, but there will be stuff everywhere. And I'm sorry, but that's all needed. I love a tidy house. I'm really, really OCD. But when it comes to puppies, chaos is needed. Puppies love chaos, so it's really good for them. So yes, we still have an ad on a free ad site. I haven't got rid of it yet. Okay, no. So red flag. If there's still an advert out there, it's something to be aware of. That's weird. The vet card got wet. It had to be destroyed. We'll send you a replacement. Never walk away if they said they'll send you anything, because you won't get it. Paperwork will be emailed to you later. Again, if there's no paperwork, don't take the puppy home. It's not worth the cost in the lifetime cost that you might endure from that. The puppy has a little cough because it was outside for the first time and ate grass. No puppies go home to their new owners with coughs. That is a huge red flag. If the puppies are coughing, do not take that puppy home. It is normal to see blood in the poo. No, it is not normal to see blood in puppies' poo. I have never, in my 21 years of breeding, had a puppy that's left to a new home and had blood in the poo. They say it's a stress issue. I don't. It's not a stress issue. Blood in poo means something's bad's going on there. You need to go to the vet. Runny toilet. Sometimes. I've never seen it personally in any puppies that I've sent out. Nobody's reported that to me ever. So yeah, it can be a stress thing, but runny poos continuing for days onwards, not normal at all. It's not normal for them to be sick. It's not normal for them to be lethargic and have diarrhea. So these are puppy farm excuses. Go get your puppy checked at the vet straight away. So we've got adopt, don't shop. Scammers, unfortunately, know that they can now set up as an animal rescue when they're not an animal rescue at all, because animal rescues, according to all sources, are not required to be licensed, therefore not in. There's loopholes in Facebook advertising, which means that anybody can set up as a rescue. So you have to research that rescue centre a great deal. Make sure you're not falling into a new page that's been set up on Facebook. Have a look at their registered charity number. Can you find it looking against the name? It's there's too many loopholes. So I'm going to end the presentation on, if you're looking for a puppy, please wait. Get onto these waiting lists. Pass on the message to as many people as you can. Puppy scammers, puppy thefts, bad breeders are appearing out of the woodwork massively in 2020. The current climate is creating a boom in unhealthy puppies. Can you afford the vet bill for those puppies? You need to do your research as much as possible. I invite anybody that needs research to be done on a breeder to contact me. If you are unsure, trust and believe me, I'm your biggest detective on this. I can research your breeder for you. I don't mind helping. I'd rather make sure that you get a puppy from a decent breeder. If you're unsure, message me. I'm Clare Andrusyk on Facebook. I have got years of experience of doing research on breeders because I used to own a group where approved breeders were on. So it's something that I'm willing to help with. as a professional, recognize from your clients what their dog's extra needs are. So as dog trainers and dog groomers and, dog walkers, anybody that's watching this presentation, when owners have puppies 8 weeks old, through the 2020 pandemic, make sure they're getting a good socialization plan, make sure they get a little bit of extra help, because chances are these puppies, need extra because of the lockdown, because of the lack of socialization they've been getting. As a professional, it's also our duty to help our clients report any suspicious, unscrupulous breeders to their local councils, and gathering as much evidence as they can. So I've helped 3 people now report non-licensed breeders to their councils in order to assist, because they've sent out puppies that are sick. There is a reason why they're unlicensed, and they know that reason. So yeah, as professionals, all of us, please help our clients, please help our friends report these breeders, because the more reports that we're getting, the more we're helping stamp down on this problem. I really hope you enjoyed this presentation. I'm really conscious of the time, and hopefully I didn't speak too quickly for anybody. I was really nervous. This is my first live ever. So hopefully it's made sense, and hopefully you'll understand the pandemic puppy boom a little bit better. And if you've got any questions, let me know.
Hi, Claire.
Hi.
Hello. We do have some questions for you. So Emily has asked, will we ever get back to normal prices with puppies again? The price increase is just ridiculous.
Well, that question's been asked a lot, actually, on lots of different groups. Whilst we've got greeders out there keeping their prices high, unfortunately, we're not going to see that come down until COVID's gone. Until the need for a puppy is reduced, because obviously when there aren't as many people looking for puppies, then people can't sell those puppies for £4,000 anymore. They've got to reduce their prices, so it will come down. It's just how long is a piece of string.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of people. Jackie's literally just asked this as well. Can you give the name again of your scammers group?
Oh, Puppy Scammers Exposed UK.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Emily, sorry, you go.
Sorry, there are more groups than mine on. There's 2 groups. I'm friends with the admins of the other group now. We've clubbed together, teamwork. They've got a group. We've got a group. So any of those, it says Puppy Scammers UK or UK Puppy Scammers Exposed.
Perfect. Emily has asked if we can share your link to your BBC interview, just to let you know that we have got the full interview on the main Dog Training College page, so you can go and find it on there.
I said more on this side than I did on
that. From Joan, do you need a licence to breed?
You don't need a licence to breed. The rules are that if you have more than 3 litters a year, you need a license. If you're breeding for profit, you need a license. So unfortunately, there's the loophole there that allows people to breed without a license, because they're saying they have under 3 litters a year and not breeding for profit. They have to be able to prove they're not breeding for profit. So people handing over money, cash, to breeders is a way of those breeders managing to get away with that. So don't pay anybody cash. So because these people, everybody needs to be licensed. They should, because we're people come round and they come and vet you for a reason. They come round to your home and vet you for a reason. It's good to be a licensed breeder. I used to be. But actually, it's really good for our country. We need more people to be licensed to ensure that people are being vetted.
Yeah. So for people who want to breed, do they also need to be insured for that?
I've got insurance because I cover myself for anybody entering my home, because my home is my breeding establishment. So yeah, you have to have public liability, because if they walk in my home as a breeder, as a licensed breeder, which is a business, you know, and a ladder falls on the head, then, you know, you need insurance for that. Yes, you do.
Okay. This is a question that's been emailed in from Joe. So from our one litter that they had to stop his girl from having phantom pregnancies, he had contracts in place with all of his buyers and had all the pups endorsed, even from the one that they kept, and made sure that they had vetted the buyers thoroughly before taking a deposit, and made sure that the new buyers wanted to come and see the puppies several times before they would release the puppies. What would be your opinion on the contracts, and what would be a must in a contract to what you would expect to see?
Contracts, obviously I'm not legal, but the only contract that you should be going to is the puppy contract. I think it's .co.uk. It's set up for all breeders to use. I amongst other breeders, expand on that massively. I want if any problems with that puppy, they must return the puppy to me. They must not resell on. I must be the first person they contact. You know, whether I give them their money back or whatever, the most important thing to me is I get that puppy returned back to me. So that is one of my stipulations in my contract. I must have the puppy returned. You know, but you need to go use the puppycontract.co.uk. That is a legal document for breeders to use, and it's, you know, it's upheld in court. So that's why you should use that and not try and create your own.
Okay, that's handy to know. Joe has also mentioned, and you brought it up with gangs from abroad bringing over puppies, and Joe's said that he's noticed an increase in Romanian puppies being brought over. But also, it's not just gangs, there are rescues out there where they are breeding the dogs their end and then sending the puppies over to us on the travel bus, as they call it. So it's not just gangs, there are rescues doing it. Just because you think you're getting a rescue dog or you're helping, do your research. Research really pays off.
Yeah.
So we will end on, where can people contact you?
Yeah. Facebook. My surname is really, really unique on Facebook. I think there's only 10 of us with that surname in the UK. So it's Clare Andrusyk. It's Andrusyk. I'm also the Puppy Master on Facebook. That's my dog training page. I invite anybody that thinks, right, I don't know who this breeder is, I need to investigate, to ask me. I will set some time apart and I will be your detective for you. It's really easy for me to do because, you know, I've been 21 years a breeder. There are, you know, so many other people out there like me that will help people. You know, the other breeders that I know, we're there to help. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you ever so much for your time today, Claire, and we'll leave it there.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.